Welcome back to The Breakfast Show. Coming up, we'll take you inside the workings of exit polls ahead of Thursday's general election. Plus, we'll have the news review with James Hill, political editor of The Spectator. We'll then have the sport, of course. But first, the far-right National Rally are showing a lead in the exit polls after France's first round of parliamentary elections. Now, the vote was called by President Macron after his centralist alliance was beaten in European elections earlier this month. Well, joining me now is Nabila Ramdani, journalist and author. So, of course, you've been following what's been happening in France. A big lead for the far-right, but the race isn't over yet, Nabila.
Well, absolutely. A massively significant lead, it has to be said, for the National Rally of Marine Le Pen, effectively led by Jordan Bardella, her 28-year-old protégé. Now, the vote share for the National Rally was highly significant, with 34% effectively of the vote. But as you said, it's not a definitive one. Seat share is what ultimately counts in the end, and we'll know about that next week. But turnout was incredibly high, almost 70%, and I imagine it will be even higher next week, showing how seriously these key parliamentary elections are taken in France. Now, the percentage of votes for the National Rally yesterday represents about 12 million votes, which is an incredibly high number. Usually they get approximately 4 million votes at parliamentary elections, so that's tripling of the score in a short period of time. And there is, of course, a shock and if not anger on the streets of Paris at the result. But dare I say, there is no surprise, because the National Rally has become very used to doing extremely well at elections, not least of all at the European parliamentary elections only 3 weeks ago. And ironically, for such a Eurosceptic party, they built their power base in the European Parliament, and yet, incredibly, President Emmanuel Macron reacted to their gains in Europe to call these snap parliamentary elections.
A huge gamble for Emmanuel Macron. But there is a sense, I suppose, that the National Rally, Marine Le Pen, once considered too extreme for many French voters. What's changed? Because clearly, like you said, the voter turnout is the highest in 40 years. People are clearly turning their backs on Emmanuel Macron and that political elite, I suppose.
Yes, indeed, but I suppose we shouldn't be under any illusions. Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella have tried extremely hard to change the image of the party, but the evidence isn't there that the party has actually changed. And in actual fact, during the campaign itself, they have come up with very controversial proposals. They said, for example, that they want to remove the automatic right to French citizenship of anyone born in France to foreign parents, for example. They also want to clamp down on the jobs that dual nationals can hold. They want to ban the hijab in all public spheres, including on the street. And they effectively pushing for what they call the national preference, which is a euphemism for what effectively are discriminatory, if not racist, policies. So these are the kind of policies that are causing anger already. And the fear among many is that if they do get in a position of power, with Jordan Bardella potentially ending as Emmanuel Macron's prime minister, then the party will become emboldened to push through even more controversial proposals.
So Jordan Bardella, 28, hasn't been to university, hasn't held a job outside of the National Rally, no government experience. Will he be able to convince the French public that he is up for the job?
Well, if you listen to him, he's the de facto party leader. The real boss, of course, is Marine Le Pen. And they are already acting and speaking as if they are in power. And they are indeed talking as if they're already usurping President Emmanuel Macron's power and acting as if they're already there, effectively. But I think there's many a slip between cup and lip. And already opponents to the party, not least of all the President of France, who's a Renaissance majority, are calling for what they call a Republican front to keep the far right out of power. And, of course, there's an alliance on the left, the New Popular Front, which has been institutionalised to do just that, lock the far right out of power.
OK, Nabila Ramdani, thank you so much just for giving your insights. And hopefully we can speak to you after the 7th of July too.
Thank you.